Hello DCAC members, this is Jake with our 2021 Enrollment and Demographic Report. This report provides you with an overview of our current enrollment trends for this school year, as well as the demographic trends. We used to do these as two separate reports, but because of their similarity, we decided to put them together into one report that provides information about our current students. We try to use data that is from the same source each year, and so our numbers in the enrollment section may look a little different from our numbers in the demographic section. This report covers multiple areas of our strategic plan, including two main areas: improving learning for students of color, American Indian students, English learners, students receiving special education services, and pre-kindergarten learners, as well as improving communication and genuine engagement with families and communities, especially with our underrepresented communities. Specifically in the area of improving learning, we have providing curriculum that reflects the diverse cultures of families and students, continuing professional development for culturally responsive, competent teaching, and strengthening relationships between staff and students of color. And also in the area of improving communication, we have recruiting and retaining more staff of color and American Indian staff, and increasing access to district and school information by providing interpreters and translation in multiple languages, including Karen, Hmong, Somali, Spanish, and Nepali. The information tonight will support why we continue to work on the areas that I just highlighted from our strategic plan. Over the next several slides, I'll be sharing information regarding enrollment. This data comes from our enrollment office and can be different from the data that we give to the Minnesota Department of Education, as this data is updated more frequently. What you see on this slide is our enrollment trend over time. This data is pulled from the same data source year to year. You'll notice a drop in students from 2019 to 2020. This was most likely because of the continued pandemic, families looking for an in-person option, and is also consistent with state data. From 2020 to 21, we are below where we expected to be, as some families were looking for a full distance learning option. We had very predictable trends with some growth in enrollment each year pre-COVID. We anticipate that we will continue to experience some instability in our predictions as we continue to navigate COVID-19. This graph shows the enrollment by grade level. We are seeing higher enrollment in secondary than elementary, and we closed open enrollment in multiple grades at the high school level. This slide shows our K-6 enrollment data over time. A note that the jump from 2012 to 2013 was when Harambe joined our school district. We had a larger drop in enrollment between 2019 and 2020 due to the pandemic, and a smaller drop between 2020 and 2021. There has been some decrease in our secondary enrollment, more so this year than last year. It's difficult to speculate why there was a decrease, but may be related to distance learning options. This is a look at each elementary school's enrollment. Most schools trended down, but Little Canada is trending up, which can be attributed to the growth at Little Canada from the dual language immersion program that is offered and flourishing. This is a look at our average class sizes. The far right column shows two numbers. The first number is the average class size for the 2021-2022, and the second number is the average class size for 2020-2021. The numbers at the bottom are the district average for the grade level. This slide illustrates the average class size for grades 7 and 8. From 2020 and 2021, it's pretty similar. This next slide illustrates the average class size for grades 9 through 12. Again, the average from 2020 and 21 is pretty similar. This moves us into the demographic report section, which offers a glimpse of who our students are in the Roseville area schools. The demographic report is broken into 3 sections: race and ethnicity, English learners, and educational benefits participation, which is also known as free and reduced price meals. Most of the data and information that we will present in our demographic report comes from data in the Minnesota Automated Reporting Student System, or MARS. However, we do pull some data from the Compensatory Revenue Report and some from the Minnesota Department of Education report cards. The first part of our demographic report focuses on race and ethnicity. This pie chart shows the district enrollment by percentage for this school year. You can see that American Indian students make up 0.4% of our students. Asian students are at 18%. Hispanic students are just above 15%. Black students are just above 18%. White students just above 40%. And multiracial students make up 8.3%. This is a trend of our district enrollment by race and ethnicity, and the trend shows an increasing enrollment of students of color and American Indian students and a decrease in white students, which continues into 2021-2022. Note that in the 2018-19 school year, the state added a multiracial category, which caused a drop in many of our student groups' percentages, and is the reason why we show a break in the lines for that year. This slide provides information for the current year on the total enrollment and the percent of student groups by race and ethnicity based at our buildings. You may want to pause and review some of this data on your own. The bar graph here provides a look at the variance of our Black, Indigenous, and students of color groups. This data is used by the state of Minnesota to identify schools that are racially isolated and whether those schools were intentionally racially isolated. The state uses the district average and then identifies schools that are more than 20% above the average to identify them. Currently, we have 3 schools that have been identified as racially isolated, including Central Park, Edgerton, and Harambe. Foz isn't identified as they have a lot of variance in their population from year to year. This slide shows the comparison of Roseville area schools to comparable and/or surrounding districts. Again, you may want to pause this as there's much data on this slide. The next section of our demographic information provides information about our English language learners. We're holding steady at 15% of total enrolled students qualifying for EL services at around 1,119 in our kindergarten through 12th grade. This reflects some newly enrolling students and a lower exit rate from the program due to interrupted assessment and instruction. This slide provides a look at the variance of EL population by each of our sites. Central Park and Edgerton are the schools with the highest percentages of EL students. One-third of our students speak another language in the home, and there are 81 languages other than English spoken in the homes of our Roseville area school students. Out of those students, 1,119 qualify for English language learning services. This is a list of the top 10 languages other than English spoken at home of our Roseville area school students, and the top 10 languages of our EL students, which basically mirror each other. The final part of this report is on educational benefits participation. This is also known as students who qualify for free or reduced meals. However, we want to acknowledge that it transfers into more areas than just meals. It provides students with the support for transportation, activities, athletics, and other fees that may be barriers to a student's participation in our educational programs. These benefits help to provide a more equal playing field for all students and their families. This slide shows the overall percentage of students that qualify for educational benefits. Notable in this slide is that we see a large upward trend between 2009 and 2019. This occurred from the Great Recession that hit our community and communities across the nation very hard. Its impacts lasted quite some time. We do see some recovery in the most recent years, but have yet to see the impact that the COVID-19 pandemic may have on our community in Roseville area schools. This slide shows a 3-year trend of the percentage of students by building that qualify for educational benefits. To note on this slide is the downward trend in most of our schools, except Rams and Parkview. We hope that this is a positive trend for our district and not because we have less families applying for benefits. We have really made an effort in our schools to have every family complete an application, as this has a significant impact on our school funding and programs for our students. This slide shows a longitudinal trend for each of our schools over the last 15 years. To note would be Parkview Center School, or PCS, from 11% in 2007 to 27% in 2021-22, which is almost tripling over that time span. And as a district, we have shown a steady incline over the years, from 33% to 42%. Thanks for listening, and we will have time for questions, feedback, and discussion at our upcoming DCAC meeting.